Okay, these are my audience members. And I have one over here operating the PowerPoint. Okay, my name is Tracy Foyer, and I'm coming to you today from White Oak, Virginia, which is the ancestral lands of the Patawomack Indian tribe. It's written Patawomack. In English, we pronounce it Potomac. In the Algonquin language, it's Potawatomi. And you will hear us go back and forth. The Potomac Indians will switch back and forth in conversation. Sometimes we say Patawomack, sometimes we say Potomac, sometimes we say Potawatomi. It just depends. When John Smith sailed up the Potomac River around 1610, he met with my ancestor Japazaws, who was the chief of the Passapatanzi village of the Potomac. He recorded in his book that he wrote about the Potomac River. It was the fourth river that he navigated. He said it was 6 or 7 miles wide. It was navigable up to 140 miles. This picture here was taken at Aquia Landing, which John Smith described in his book as being Aquio. And where he met with Japazaws, I was not able to go take a picture of that. That's on private land today. This is actually a public park in Stafford County. Go ahead and to the next slide, please. Okay. There were several events in the Potomac history that have allowed us to continue to be a tribe today. The first one was when Powhatan cut off the settlers at Jamestown during the starving time. Japazaws gave to the settlers of Jamestown bushels of corn. 150 bushels for the settlers at Jamestown and another 50 for the crew of Captain Argyll's ship. That was a story that I grew up hearing from my grandfather that had been passed down during the generations. Because the Potomac people, or Japazaws in particular, considered the English to be friendly, they refused to participate in the Indian attacks against the English that occurred in 1622. However, Captain Tucker, who was an English sea captain, decided he was going to punish us anyway and threw a peace party for the Potomac Indian tribe in which he poisoned the food. We lost 150 people. That was the first great attack on the Potomac people. We lost 150 people at that time, including the chief Japazaws. After Japazaws' death, his grandson Wahanganochie comes to power, and Wahanganochie's daughter married a wealthy Englishman who happened to have the land in this area. In 1666, the government of Virginia issued a declaration to the Rappahannock militia to wipe out every Indian within sight. That is what was known as the Great Massacre. Only 2 little girls escaped that massacre. They escaped the massacre by running away to the homes of 2 cousins who had married wealthy English men. One of those cousins was the daughter of Wahanganochie, my ancestor Keziah Arroyo. Each one of those women took in one of the girls. The entire tribe today descends from those 4 women. Go ahead to the next slide. This is a picture of our chief, Robert Green. He's discussing with some visitors how we made a dugout canoe. This was at Discovery Days in Stafford, again at the Aquia Landing Park. I was present at the Virginia House Committee where a bill was presented to grant us state recognition. At that time, I heard Robert Green give testimony that 50% of the tribe still lived within the original village site, and another 20% resided within 20 miles of the original village site. That means of the Potomac Indian tribe, about 80% were within the original village site. I don't have statistics on other Indian tribes, but I think that's significant for an Indian tribe to still be on their ancestral lands today. One of the key factors that has allowed us to continue to be on our ancestral land was the marriage of Wahanganochie's daughter to the wealthy Englishman who had the land. Once the massacre occurred and there were 4 remaining Potomac members plus their children, that took our numbers down to a very small amount. So as they had children, they were able to pass the land on to their children. Also, it's very common among Indian tribes to marry distant cousins. It was also very common among the English at that time for the wealthy English people to marry distant cousins. It was a way of keeping the wealth within the family. So since there were basically 4 women in the area, over the years their families have intermarried distant cousins, and the entire tribe today traces their ancestry to those 4 women numerous times over because of the pattern of marrying distant cousins. So because of the massacre and because of Wahanganochi's daughter marrying the wealthy Englishman that had the land, has allowed us to continue on the land till this day. And that was a big part when we were in Richmond. That was a big part of the reason that we were able to get our state recognition, because we have continued to operate as a community within the White Oak area. Go ahead. You went the other direction. These are the works cited. Bill Deo is our tribal historian. The annals. The interesting thing about the Annals of the Patawomac, the man who wrote this book actually said that we disappeared. He was incorrect about that. Okay. And thank you for viewing my presentation.